My shorts fell down to my ankles. Okay. I can't believe this is happening.
I said, yeah, sometimes he just goes off the rails, Chance.
BG's going to be huge. And I'm thinking, ay. I don't see any Anthony. Or I don't see any AJ. Why?
Right.
What's going on there?
Quote, AJ's chances of wrestling are just about zero, and Anthony's completely out of the picture. Now, I don't know what's really happened because this guy was seemingly on board that they were going to wrestle for Iowa.
And Dake actually probably turned it down.
Is Taylor the second option?
Terry.
I do have some recruiting news from Iowa.
Okay. Go ahead.
This past weekend, there was a visit.
All right, folks, welcome back to PEG Wrestling. We are here, and all of a sudden, this is your new news source, maybe interview source for breaking content in wrestling worldwide.
I know.
Might I say?
I know.
As we had an invitation to the Olympic Training Week that we're going to get into and talk a lot about and learned a lot about. But first, before we do that, folks, we've got to bring up our comment of the week. It's this week, it's Tony Ninas 169. Okay, he says 3 teams that never seem to be mentioned are Iowa State, Cornell, and Ohio State. 3 very strong teams, and in my opinion, better than Iowa. Well, good news, Tony, because on Fridays live, we're starting a weekly team spotlight, and we meant to get to it last week with Virginia Tech, but we actually had Adam Fellers call in, and we kind of let him run with it. So that's how Fridays lives are. We just kind of roll with the flow. It's a different feel show. A more casual feel. But hey, you actually made it out for a day to Olympic Training Week, and
yes.
What are some of your takeaways? And we have some stories to tell, right?
Well, man, there's so much to say. First off, wrestlers, male or female, nicest people in the world. And I guess it's just being a wrestler. Like, you naturally are a disciplined person. You have respect. You're a quality person. If you make it through wrestling, you're a quality person. Them values are kind of instilled in you. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's just as nice as can be. It really was. Now, the guy, your little inside source that kind of got you in here, nicest guy in the world. I know he doesn't want his name mentioned. I won't mention the name, but you're talking about a guy that helps in other areas. Just a super nice guy. He barely looked at me, Zach. You won him over. He really liked you. And what a nice thing he did for BEG and you, and giving you that opportunity. And I can't say enough, the interviews, and we've only seen some of them. I know you got some big ones coming that I'm looking forward to. But
yeah, we have a lot of interviews, and again, I want to thank Steve and Wendy's, their developmental team leaders for the women's program, who invited us there. And part of the reason they invited us, Steve said I can name drop him.
Oh, okay.
But listen,
well, he helps troubled youth. He has other things that he's doing. He's not
people.
just
Steve and Wendy, both great people.
Oh, I tell you.
And to your point,
I was going to say, Steve, I'm here. Steve, he was looking at you, and I thought, man, this Zach, I got to learn how to win people over like you do.
Well, no, you just got to step it up, start putting more stuff out there, dude. Like I am out here grinding every day of the week.
Maybe keep my clothes on. That would be step one.
But yes, okay. Yeah, but was there anything? Okay, we got to tell a story. I was going to say, so I introduced you. I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You came on Tuesday.
Yes.
And I said, hey, there's Marsteller over there. Chance. Now, Chance is from our kind of hometown, a county down.
Yeah.
And so I introduced you to him. And and we're walking and talking with
He's with
him
his
and
wife.
his wife and their kids.
His two little stud future Pennsylvania wrestlers are with him.
And then, all of a sudden I see a catastrophe happen, and I had to clean up the mess. I had to walk ahead real quick. Chance, look at me, Chance, and his wife. I started saying crazy stuff just so they'd look at me. What the heck happened with you?
Okay. Look, we're walking, chatting. Thank goodness I was like a step and a half behind. Because I don't know if they've seen this. But just recently, I thought, yeah, okay, I got to lose some weight. Okay? Got to lose some weight. But in the meantime, all my clothes were a little tight. So I ran out and I bought these shorts. I'm getting them plenty big. I don't want to mess with. Well, it's one of them shorts where, the belt, where you put it through 2 loops and then you come back through the 1 loop and you pull it and it's tight. Okay? Well, we're walking along and all of a sudden that little setup malfunctioned and my shorts fell down to my ankles. Okay. I can't believe this is happening. I hurry up, grab them, pull them up, okay? Thank goodness they were half step in front of me. They didn't see this all going on. But then I noticed as I'm holding them up, like if I let go, they're just going to fall right down. They're obviously too big. Okay, so then I had to try to figure out, I got to decode this belt thing. So I walked over to the garbage can to try to act like I was throwing something away, and I'm there fiddling with my belt. They had to know something was going on because all of a sudden I just fell way behind.
Yeah, right in the middle of the conversation, I had to just pick it up where he left off, and it's like, I said, sometimes he just goes off the rails, Chance. Sometimes, hey, could
Zach,
you imagine working with him? No.
That rocked me. I mean, for the rest of the day, first off, I'm not walking around real confident to begin with. We got hard bodies everywhere, okay? And then here's this one guy walking around, and I know, the one thing I learned is what you say is important. Like, I don't know, your subconscious or something follows the words you say. Like you've seen before a wrestler that, let's be realistic, he has no chance of winning nationals, but you'll hear him say, I'm going to win nationals, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And I'm thinking, dude, come back to reality, dude. No, that's smart stuff. You should say things because they come true. Like your spirit or something, your subconscious follows the words that you say.
All these years
I've messed
you've been
that
calling
up
me crazy.
Yes, because you've gone on.
Finally coming around.
BG's going to be huge. And I'm thinking, Zach and his little dream where Peter Pan over here. Could you get back down north? Could we get 50 people to listen maybe before we conquer the world? But now I understand, Zach. In fact, I've been messing up the other way. I've been, you joking around in my little attempt to stay humble. Got to stay humble. I'll call myself a lard butt or something. Dude, I got to quit doing that. I got to, you know what, Zach? I'm a muscular rock. That's what I am.
That's what Spencer's face turned into when he saw you walking up. How about that?
You talk about Spencer. Folks, at any point, I could have walked up and I could have talked to any one of my biggest stars. It was like a little kid at the entrance of Hershey Park. And I'm like, it was very exciting. Okay, but I had it in my head. Okay, I don't want to come across as like a giddy little schoolboy. Oh, can you take it? Here, please.
Oh,
no.
You were acting like that, though.
No. Anyway, here comes Spencer. He's with somebody, and it's no one's in this room except me sitting there, and they're walking right by me. And, hi, man, I said. I thought, wow, well, that sounds kind of cool. I didn't act like a gaga. Here comes a big sports star. Hi, man. Spencer nodded his head, but I noticed there was a bit of a growl that went on his face. I don't know how much he might have been watching the wrestling podcast out there, but yeah, we had a little fun with Spencer back in the day.
Well, it's funny. I missed that interaction, but then right after that, I ran into him as he continued to walk, and that growl turned to a big old smile. You see his face?
I know.
You see his
I
face?
know. Everybody loves Zach. Everybody loves Zach.
Someone around here support Iowa. My goodness,
Zach, I can't tell you them women interviews. You know where? Can I start naming where wrestling messes up? Dude, you got to get them women out in the limelight because you meet them women. I watch them interviews. I can't wait for the women's segment of the Olympics because that's how much they were so cool, so down to earth, so nice. I really enjoyed your interviews, and I got to give it to you. I couldn't have done them like that. That's not me. That's your thing, and I don't know how, but they felt you could. Like when you're watching an interview and it's uncomfortable, you can feel it. With your interviews, I got comfortable right away as I was watching them, and I thought this is very, very good. But them women, and I just fell in love with them. They're big. I'm a huge fan. My wife is a huge fan. She can't wait to watch them women. Somehow, wrestling's got to find a way. Every sport needs its big stars. We have them, people. We have them. We just got to get them out there and show because there's some quality day-going wrestlers there and people.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And the Coach Steiner interview's out now, and he talks about so this comes out Tuesday, Monday on Memorial Day. We came out with the Coach Steiner and Coach Zadek interviews. Coach Steiner talks about the growth of women's wrestling, and let me tell you something. That might be our alley, dude. Because wait till you hear the numbers that he talks about and the growth of women's wrestling, and then you mentioned. Every single woman that I interviewed, dude, just incredible. Cannot help but root for them. Oh. And I think there's a chance we might be getting them to call in on some Friday Lives. So I already touched base.
If you learn anything
after the Olympics and everything. But
if you learn anything from Caitlin Clark, the thing is we got multiple Caitlin Clarks over here. And we just got to get them out there. I don't know how you do that. There's a lot of more smarter minds out there that somehow lead the charge because, and we'll get into this. We got some troublesome things coming wrestling's way with this settlement, NIL, the direction things are going.
Talk about it.
And I hate to even talk about that because the excitement of watching your interviews, realizing these are the stars that we're rooting for. Dude, these people are just fun to listen to. They just are. And I know you talk about a lot of these interviews that haven't even come out yet. And I can't wait for them. The Aaron Brooks, the Mike
Machiavello, Jaden Cox coming out.
Yeah.
Man, I thought the Bo Bassett and the Clash of Combat interviews were very interesting. But
and Mason, I sat there and watched you interview Bassett and Mason. And at first, I was thinking, well, we're a team here. This little BEG thing. Now it's a 3-man team, but I thought, I'm going to chime in too. Dude, I was so impressed with how smooth everything's going. I had enough sense about myself to zip it up, stay out of this, don't mess with what's working. And so not every decision I make is a bad one. That was a good decision because I was impressed. And Mason, you know how I'm a big Penn State fan. I kind of like Michigan more now. Mason Paris is the real deal. And just a super nice guy. But this Bo.
You know what's funny about that Mason Paris interview? So you did ask some questions at the very end.
Yeah.
And I originally kept that in the interview. However, you literally could not hear anything that you were saying, and it made it sound so bad to the rest of the episode. It just didn't fit. So I ended up
the only thing
it.
I tried to figure out that day was as we were walking to the interview room, I was already asking questions, just getting them loosened up, and asking stuff I wanted to know. And some of it was just goofy little stuff. Asking Bassett, what was the most nerve-wracking match you ever had? And, as it turns out, it was the World Championship finals. Yeah. But that Bassett. I mean, and it's kind of like this with a lot of these wrestlers that excel. Is they're so mature. It's like what you go through to become a great wrestler matures you. I'm convinced of that.
I completely agree. Yeah. I mean, there was just such an overall theme of gratitude amongst every single wrestler. I mean, even the ones I didn't talk to and even interview. And before we even go on, I just want to personally thank every wrestler that did give me an interview, because to have this annoying guy from someplace they never heard of, some
well, that
show,
was big on Steve.
Hey, man, I'd love to have you for an interview.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
the
dude.
fact that Steve watched our podcast, liked it, and decided, you know what, let's try something here. That was kind of ballsy by Steve. You have to admit.
It kind of goes back to, like the whole reason we were invited was, so Thursday, the last day, was simulation day, and a big piece of that. So they had Jason Bryant there. They had a French announcer. They were walked out to the mats. They did everything possible to simulate what I guess like the Olympic semifinals, finals will be.
Smart.
Up into and including immediately after the match, the post-match interview, which was me. They came to me. So those are going to be coming out soon too. But they came to me right after, and it's just the 2 or 3 short questions that they immediately ask the wrestlers right after the match. When they're out of breath, they can't breathe.
Yes.
It's just a fascinating perspective. I cannot wait
Yes.
to put that out, because that's real training right there.
But this leads to something that needs fixed. Okay, I'm a little jealous of Friday's show. Okay, first off, what happened was, okay, you send out all these interviews, and okay, then we get another big name, Fellers, Adam Fellers, Iowa expert and stuff on multiple podcasts, and I love Fellers. He knows a lot, right? He calls in. And really, I really enjoyed that segment. I don't get to play with this. I had questions galore for Fellers. Now, you interviewed Clash. I had questions galore for Clash. By the way, I really liked that interview. That was great. That was a great interview. And by the way, Caden, I was looking through. I noticed the U23 U.S. trials. I seen your name there.
Let's go, Caden. Let's go, Caden.
Let's go. So, no, that was – I got to say one other thing about Clash, and I know you might have more to say, but with the Clash, they did one of the nicest things anyone's ever done that I experienced and seen. They were talking about that podcast of the year. Okay, and they said on their program, they were kind of questioning, well, it turns out D3 Nation won it, and that was great because we want to support the other divisions of wrestling, and I'm not blaming who won it, but I agree. Clash has put on a quality podcast for quite some time. You could say, well, why didn't Clash win it? Well, Clash said the only people we could except beating us is BG. And like Crosby said, I absolutely agree. Well, I know they were just being nice, but this kind of leads me to another thing. You contacting Clash and wanting to do an interview with Clash. And wrestling as a whole has to think that way. All these podcasts. Let's get other podcasts.
Well, it's like
we have to
Jason
unite.
Bryant coming out. Jason Bryant's
I know
fascinating.
the competition part of a person says, well, we're up against them. We're against. No, take that thinking and throw it away. You want to unite these. We're all fighting for the same thing. So I loved that you got Clash together. Get the other ones. Get the Cactus. Here's one we pick on all the time. We joke around and say, that's my guy. Bash will always say, that's my guy. My guy. My guy? What? But Bash, I'd love to sit and talk to Bash.
Well, we're scheduling interviews out. So
Bash would be very interesting. And has Bash ever been interviewed? Like, I don't know much about Bash. I'd like to know more. I mean, somehow he got in where he does have all my guys. And, by the way, anyway, I think wrestling needs to unite, even Flo. Flo's got to put their arms out. And I have not seen anything negative from Flo. against all these other people that are working to promote this sport. And I'm talking other podcasts and stuff. So I don't have anything to bash Flo about, but to remind them, dude, we're all in this fight together, and put your arms around all these other workers out there that are trying to elevate this sport, and we got to do it together. We got to stick together.
Well, the bottom line is there's just way too much that could be covered and so many angles that it could be covered from. There is an unlimited space. Look at any other sport. There's multiple media outlets. A lot of them do slightly different things. A lot of them do the same thing, but there is space for it. And a lot of times I do weird stuff like the Copper Boy. I know I got real big fans, people who love it, like Tim out there. Tim, shout out. You're gonna make me bring Copper Boy back, dude. But hey, come on. A little joking around, a little different angle.
Here's the question of the day. Does
Come on,
Tim have the balls to call in on a Friday?
No.
Because you would treat him with respect, wouldn't you?
I mean, obviously I would.
Come on. Or I tell you the honest truth, I wouldn't mind seeing a full-fledged fight. Unleash Kevin on Tim. But Tim, yeah, I kind of knows Tim. You're a little on the negative side there, but
he's Mr. No Fun.
Yeah, dang, going Debbie Downer. But
have a laugh,
he's all
Tim.
right.
Have a laugh, Tim. Come on. Well, anyway, listen, I got other interviews that are coming out. Jaden Cox, who we kind of briefly talked about, he's apparently got a podcast coming out, Breaking Barriers, which he's taking a whole different angle.
Okay.
Talking about maybe the shadows of the sport of wrestling, I guess.
I like that.
Interesting.
I mean, you talk about an insider. There's an insider. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Aaron Brooks, I asked him the question flat out. If you called David Taylor right now, would he pick up the phone? So you have that response coming out. I pick a little bit to the David Taylor relationship and what's going on in Penn State. Folks, that Brooks is that might break some news. Interview.
I got a picture with me and Casey Cunningham, and I did talk to Casey for a little bit, and he's super nice guy.
We asked Casey, no dice.
Oh, really? But I tell you,
he's smarter than that.
You can just tell that guy's got his head on. Okay, but I seen these big stars. There's Mitchell Messenbrink right there. I could walk over 4 steps and introduce myself. And, Aaron Brooks. There's Aaron Brooks. And it's like I held myself back from doing that because I didn't want to bother them. They're in the middle of,
Yeah, like serious stuff, dude.
Serious stuff. And here comes
two goons walking up. I know,
really?
I know. We have full access.
They're not like that. They would accept you and answer questions, whatnot. And it's like, would I want someone? No, just let me get my work done.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we had full access, and they're go and eat with the guys, go eat with the wrestlers. No, I gotta be honest, I did not feel comfortable, dude. I can sense when I'm like the annoying guy. I just did not want to be the annoying guy, dude. Like everyone, like, dude, sit down at my seat. Do not let an open seat at this table, so he sits here. You know what I mean? Like, no, come on, dude. But no, one final thing I wanted to say, everyone was so young and had composure, but I feel like I owe Bassett a slight apology because he's very young. And if you listen to that interview, I mean, it's like you want to if you are an interviewee, you want to or interviewer, you want to give him like an easy first question. Yeah. Well, I hit him with 2 questions on the first question, talking about not simplifying things. Oh, but I mean, he handled it with composure.
Oh, he knocked him out of the park.
Yeah.
The thing is you're tempted to ask the obvious right then. Bo, tell us where you're going. Come on. It's just me. We won't say nothing.
Back to the annoying part. I didn't want to be annoying. Yeah,
so we didn't ask. You did go as far as saying, "What's the chances of you and Jax going to the same school?" I enjoyed that question. I didn't like the answer.
I think that might be some.
The answer kind of scared me if it doesn't turn out to be my school.
It sounds like they're both going
team
to the same
I'm rooting
place.
for. But yeah, but
also,
I've said
Spencer
all along,
and
even you barked down this. I can't believe that someone hasn't grabbed Daddy Bassett as coach because of that army he's got behind him that would come. You talk about elevating the team right away. There you go. And apparently he has had offers. But Why would he leave? He's enjoying an incredible high school team right now, and it's not
Talk
just
about
them.
shaking up the sport. Maybe 2 years from now, would that be it? Right?
Yeah.
He leaves, takes a job, takes Jax and Bo with him. Oh my goodness!
Wow. But
That would be exciting.
well, we've said the same thing about Askren. Ben, you can't. It's hard to believe someone hasn't gobbled up Ben already just because of the army that's behind him. But by the way, Ben said something in one of the shorts.
Before we move on, I just want to clarify, yes, Steve and Wendy Capaferri are who we owe our thanks to. They're the developmental team leaders for the USA women's wrestling team. So I just wanted to say that officially correctly. Steve and Wendy cannot thank you enough.
Yes.
I mean, that was just the opportunity of a lifetime. Literally, like even just the opportunity even only comes around every 4 years, and to be the ones invited to provide that mock simulation.
Well, even as how he
Felt
wants
like
to
I was
help
on
you
ESPN,
from here.
Yeah.
He wants to help you from here. Anything you need. I mean, that's just super nice. So we appreciate that. But really, we're both got the same goal at mind. That is making wrestling stronger, more popular, and I mean, we can get into that. But back to
All right, what do you got? What do you disagree with Ben Askren with?
okay, here Ben had this short, and he was complimenting David Taylor. Okay, I'm not going to say Teller, David Teller. No, you know what? I'm going to say it the way I say it. Anyway, and he's saying, "Well, David's got the fundraising figured out already. He's really getting going." Whoa, Ben, whoa! Look, we're all going to be showering David with praise. We all know that's going to happen. But that's all. Understand what's going on in Oklahoma State right now, and that is money. Nothing but money. Money brought these people in, the Hendricksons, the Amines, and actually David himself. So all the fundraising and stuff, I don't think David figured that all out in a week. I think the big cash cow is finishing what he started. So I kind of disagreed with Ben there. Yeah, we'll have plenty of praise for David and Oklahoma State coming up, but
I can't wait for some of these other million and billionaires at other universities. They start getting a little jealous, and then they start throwing money at the wrestling team.
Well,
That's going to happen.
I mean, that gets into the whole NIL and stuff and this agreement.
Yeah, let's talk about these NIL changes.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll find out. I know that settlement is going to be paid out over the next 10 years. And I know they talked about making changes to the NIL, higher regulations. I know they've mentioned there will be no more cap on the number of scholarships. And there's a whole lot of things that you almost have to wait to see how this plays out. I hate to even comment on it at this point.
Yeah, I think we need to do some further research and maybe even have a special breaking down the potential effects of these NIL changes, both positive and negative, because obviously they made them in a positive effort.
Yes, I know this. It's go time for wrestling. There's no doubt about it. You are competing against other sports. You are competing to save your life with this university, that they don't get some idea, well, maybe we could drop that. We could use that money over here. No, now is go time for wrestling. And, I mean, there's a whole bunch of little stuff that I personally like about wrestling. And it ultimately leads back to the kids. How do we get these young athletes to decide to, you know what, I'm going to go wrestling? And one thing is decreasing the number of them that could get a scholarship to do so in college. If I got athletic talent, but I could choose whatever, basketball or something else, and I got a whole lot higher chance of getting a scholarship, I'm going to choose that sport. So that's one of the reasons I always liked, when they had Division II and Division III wrestlers, the champions of them divisions, be able to to go on to the Division I Nationals. I'll tell you why I like that so much. You're just asking for storybook stories to develop there, like the Wade Chalice stories, and where
certainly don't see any
guys
negative.
and the thing is we got guys in Division II and Division III that they have the athletic ability and the skills to go really far, and if their head's right, they could go far. And by them having that opportunity, that's why I always liked it, just for the promotion of wrestling to the youth.
Well, it's just like, look at the NFL. I mean, what percentage of the NFL is, undrafted or did not play D1 college football? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But the thing is every sport needs its stars, and to highlight its stars, and some of the great athletes out there of the world, we don't want them to go to another sport. We want them to pick wrestling, and it's one of them things where wrestling's got to really get things straightened out. Is this stalling, at least in the folk style? Things get boring. Things are so inconsistent on how this ref and this ref call stalling. And quite frankly, if you're asking me, both of them are wrong. Both of them are too slow on stalling. When you have nothing really going on there, that's the one element that everyone seems to like about freestyle is, how many seconds into, if there's no scoring, somebody's getting called for stalling, or actually they don't call it stalling. But the thing is that needs to be so in folk style to keep the action going. And the other thing which Cale said in his answer to your interview is about making things easy to understand. And I think that's enormous too. Now, wrestling and the scoring in wrestling is more complex. We're not talking about sumo wrestling here, where I understand that guy's got to get that guy outside the circle, and whoever, if he does it, he's the winner. Okay, that's really easy to understand. And wrestling's not that. You got to understand some wrestling, but I don't know. There's a lot of smart minds out there working on ways to simplify the scoring to make it almost geared towards people that aren't wrestling fans, and now they understand. And you basically understand how a takedown, that guy just took that guy down, he deserves points. But a lot of this other stuff, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Well, maybe we should just keep an open mind, because you know what? The NFL makes rule changes every year. Why shouldn't wrestling? I don't know. But why don't we move on? I'm getting a little bored on that topic. Okay?
I know. I didn't even want to go down that route. I didn't even want to go down that
Transfers here. I'm looking at Oklahoma State's new lineup. We got Spratley at 125, Hughes at 133, Jameson at 141, Jordan Williams at 149, T. Travis at 157, Cam Amin at 165, Hamidi 174, Plot 184, Serber 197, and Wyatt Hendrickson now at heavyweight?
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
And you got to think Kristen Carroll's going to try to get down to 97.
Yep.
So, yeah, now a lot of people, I'm going to call Terry here in a second, because a lot of people have Iowa as the number 2 team now. Even with that lineup, even if Kristen Carroll gets down to 97 and still has some strength, that a lot of people think Iowa is a clear number 2 now.
Okay.
So
still a couple remaining free agents out there in the portal. Big names like Bear Claw and Chris Cannon, right?
Yeah, and I got to think Iowa may be interested in that Cannon, especially if Ayala stays down to 25. Cannon helps Iowa at 33 there. But
do we have any inkling? Could he be going there? Any inkling?
I don't know. Let's ask.
Let's get our insider, Terry.
Let's ask the insider.
Now, folks, deal with us in the audio. Terry,
daggone Terry. Terry doesn't have a smartphone.
Hello.
Terry.
Yes.
Hey, I want to start out by asking, how often do you have to get a block of ice?
A block of ice?
Yeah, for that, where you store your food. You get a block of ice. Dang, go on, man. You didn't get a smartphone yet? What's going on over there?
And then I got the buffalo robe on the front door there.
Wow. No, I'm just picking, Terry. I don't mind holding the phone up.
Zach's probably thrilled with having to work around my Luddite tendencies here.
This actually, he said something I had to remember what it was. He said, "You'll be calling my home phone." What?
That's correct.
Home phone? What's that?
That's a landline.
Then I remember. That's a landline we're talking.
Wow, they really are stuck in the old days out there in Iowa, aren't they, Terry? Oh my!
But forget that. Who cares? The man with all the opinions and stuff, Iowa. You have to be getting a little excited about this coming year.
Well, you saw what Willie's projections were for the lineup with 7 All-Americans. Now, I think we're looking at 5 pretty sure ones. Of course, anything can happen, like what happened to Braden Davis. I mean, you hit the national champion eventual in the front side, and you get bumped on the backside by Volk. That can happen to anybody. But, I would think that Drake, Parco, Caliendo, Gabe Arnold, and Nelson Brands are probably likely. And I guess Willie's opinion would be 2 out of between Kennedy, Glazier, and Keeter. So.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely seems possible.
Although, all these projections, Terry, I noticed I don't see any Anthony or I don't see any AJ. Why?
Right.
What's going on there?
Well, that's a good question, Wayne, because you addressed that a little bit the other day. I had sent you a post by a guy that's pretty reliable, and he says that, quote, AJ's chances of wrestling are just about 0, and Anthony's completely out of the picture. Now, I don't know what's really happened, because this guy was seemingly on board that they were going to wrestle for Iowa prior to this, so something popped up. Now, he wouldn't spill the beans. There was people that pressed him after that, and the only thing he'd say is it was not academically related. So,
wow.
I can't imagine that he was required to stay off of social media, because that's AJ's oxygen.
Yeah.
Terry, can you, just to clarify that, AJ's chances of wrestling are close to 0, and Anthony's basically are 0?
Yes. Yes. And if you noticed, AJ's been in the room. You've seen photos, but you haven't seen Anthony lately.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Well,
here, and then it's like the direction my thinking went, which I asked you before, but what I ask right here is okay, what's the chances that, we all know how close-knit that family is, and I don't know, maybe Papa drives the train or something, but what's the chances that Papa gets frustrated? Here, one of my sons aren't even starting, the other one, they're not letting them wrestle. Sure, even Angelo, they'll probably try to talk into a red shirt year 1 with Nelson coming back. What's the chances that, they've moved around a lot their whole life,
right, that
Papa Ferrari picks up all 3 of them, says, let's go to this school where all 3 of you can be in a starting spot?
Well, I think Angelo is on board with a red shirt this year. And, I've thought about this, obviously that's a concern. And it was a concern when we first recruited him. I said, this could go south for all 3 after you've lost Chittum already. But then you've got to think about what university is going to take all 3. Remember, Virginia Tech was conditional when they recruited Angelo only.
Yeah.
Is there a university that take all 3? And then, maybe Rutgers is one that I could think of, maybe.
Rutgers?
Maybe a smaller university like Northern Colorado. But then if you're Angelo, in my opinion, that's a risky proposition, because if all 3 go, how long do all 3 stay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he pulls up chocks and moves, that could be short term too. So my hopes for him is that he just presses on with Iowa. Of course, I've got vested interest, but I really do think that's in his best interest.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you also. They brought this Parco in, okay, and on the surface, my first reaction was I was impressed with Rathjen last year. Am I saying that right, by the way, Terry?
Well, everybody says Rachi. I think it's Ratian, but that's the German speaker in me. But Rachi is what most people say.
Okay, so I was really impressed with Rachi to the point where I thought, didn't he take some get injured, banged up a little bit right at the end of the year? I was kind of expecting to see him on the podium. That's how impressed I was with him. Where I'm leading to is I think Parko's got his hands full with not only Rachi, but Voinovich maybe. I mean...
The thing is, that's really a deep weight class for Iowa. Now, there's no real established hammer there. But, obviously, Rachi's got some potential. Voinovich did quite well at Oklahoma State the first year in the tourney. I think he was 2-2. So he was solid. You're right. Rachi got hurt in the second to last duel against Wisconsin, missed the duel against Oklahoma State. He hurt a knee. And I think it did affect him. He didn't look as good in the tourney as he had prior to that.
Yeah.
And, he's got some length. He's got some athleticism. He took out Kasich in the duel that they had with Penn State.
Yep.
So, I mean, it really wasn't a huge hole for Iowa. But, again, Rachi went 1-2 in the tournament, and Parko's been a 4-time All-American. So, something can be said for a guy that's gotten it done.
Yes, but you have to admit, I mean, Parko has to get comfortable with his new location. He has to get comfortable with his new coaches, his new team, his new school, to expect him to be able to do what he's done in the past. And there's a lot of elements that people don't think. You think you just plug and play, and we got the same thing over here that we had over there. And there's a lot of elements to it that you have to stop and think about. Wow. What if he doesn't feel totally comfortable? And all of a sudden his head's not clicking like it was back at the old, old school.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a concern, like I said. But, I was happy with the, signing. I do think it's an upgrade. It's, but it does kind of jam things up at 149 a bit.
Well, let me just say my thinking automatically is, what does this do to the rest of the team? You bring in a Parko or whatever, and now you got some guys over here jealous. There's rumors he's making this much money, and you got dissension in the team, and so much for team unity and all that stuff. I just recently, yesterday, watched this a little bit older interview of Tom, and it was enlightening. Talking with you and then watching this interview, I got a better understanding of where Tom came from, how things were back in the Gable days. Tom doesn't mind wars inside that room, does he?
Absolutely not. If you noticed, after the soldier salute, Rachi had pushed Anthony pushed him back, and then Rachi won the close match and flexed right in his face.
Yep. And
then, of course, you had the Glazier AJ situation, and they interviewed Tom afterwards, and he said, he basically, what I interpreted from his comments, I won't try to quote him, but basically, he doesn't mind that. It was a dog world into the Gable years, and I don't think he minds a little bit of competition in the room.
Yeah.
Welcome to real life.
Welcome to real life. Absolutely. And I'll tell you something I had to kind of respect about Tom is, he's about toughness, just being tough. And I'm sure a room like that, you're going to get tough in a real hurry. But this interview, they asked Tom about burnout. Is burnout a thing? And his answer was, no, that's a mindset. You let yourself get burned out. I mean, if your mind's right, you don't get burned out. And you got people coming to practice thinking, oh, man, it's an hour and a half practice. He says there are no clocks in wrestling. Like, you don't even have a clock in your head. And I understood how intense he is. And, he talked about his hatred of losing. It was much stronger than his joy of winning. He just absolutely hates losing. And it shows. And it showed in his results. And you can't.
Is that interview up on our Facebook page?
No, but
well, let's make sure we get that up. Folks, go find that interview on our Facebook page by the time you see this episode, because it'll be up there by then.
I will. I'll send you the link. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. It's a long interview, but it was very fascinating. And I mean, do you like
the Lex Friedman interview?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, I've watched that. It's been a while, but that was one of Lex Friedman's early interviews. He's pretty big now, and I think Tom said he agreed to it because Lex Friedman was from the former Soviet Union countries. I'm not sure exactly which country, and he knew they were big into wrestling, and I remember he had Friedman for dinner and said, "See, I'm not such a bad guy."
Yeah, I tell you though, it really it opened my eyes. Yes, wrestling is a bit of a team sport, but really, it's just you being hungry like a dog.
Terry, I got a question for you. Okay, we just kind of talked about how the Dan Gable dog-eat-dog mindset coaching, right? However, I just interviews out now of Coach Steiner and Coach Zadek, both who wrestled at Iowa under Dan Gable, and I got to tell you, they both could not have. I mean, that certainly did not come across as their mindset to me as a coach. And yet they wrestled under Dan Gable. Terry, were you an Iowa fan back then?
Well, my history kind of goes back to early 70s, Iowa public television. I got on board real quick at that when that first started. I think in 73, I probably was on that right away. And this was prior to, once I left Iowa, this was prior to the internet. It's difficult to follow wrestling. It was impossible to follow wrestling. So I dropped out of the sport for a while other than the Nationals, and I've really just gotten back into it hardcore the last 4 years. But, I figured out how to follow it correctly and via internet.
So you're a Fairweather fan?
I remember
Terry
Terry Steiner, and the Zadeks.
Yeah.
Hey, they're great guys. Terry, I got to ask you, before I forget, a couple AJ questions. You said, to clarify, not academic related.
Correct.
Okay. Do we know when we will find out about the Ferraris? Any
that's a good question, and I don't know if I mentioned it. Couple things here. Without AJ on the roster, if that's what happens, the depth after Glazier at 197 is zero, and I mean zero. They really don't have a natural 184 to bump up. Nelson Brands is bumping up from 174, and they don't have a backup 197 with Colby Franklin retiring due to a neck injury.
Yep.
So, I mean, the only guy I can see is an incoming freshman that wasn't in the top 200 from Colorado who wrestled at 215 in high school and would probably cut down. They have no depth.
It almost would be worth looking at who's left in the portal around that weight.
I have, and there's several names out there, nobody that stands out, and then you've got to get a guy that's satisfied with coming in as a backup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that might be problematic. And, bottom line with AJ, I would say AJ did a phenomenal job of putting AJ on Beth Gates' radar. She was, I think, either newly appointed or right before or right after the Soldier Salute as the permanent AD. And there couldn't have been a better introduction possible to AJ than the Soldier Salute. I mean, he did not do Tom any favors on that situation. And I think, I don't know if there's bad blood between Beth and Tom. I really don't think there probably is that much. Bob Nichols made a reappearance. He's the big donor to Iowa. He made a reappearance on the boards the other day, and totally shot down the David Taylor contact information with Beth Skates. He said, I asked Beth that directly, and she didn't even know who David Taylor was. So
wow.
he just flat out bombed that one out of there.
You know,
good.
You brought up that name. I wanted to bring this up to you, Zach, and I don't know if you heard. We noticed Dake just recently said that he could have been a coach at a major. How much you want to bet that was OK State? That
you think they offered it to
Chad
Dake
Richardson said, I either want Dake or I want Taylor, and I'm willing to pay this money. You can have all this money, but I want one of them too. And Dake actually probably turned it down.
Is Taylor the second option?
Someone try to explain that. I don't know. You any thoughts, Terry?
Well, I would say Chad Richardson has a pretty good idea about wrestling.
Yeah.
Because, if I had a name I was going to go after, I'd be going after David Taylor. And,
would you go after Kyle Dake first?
What's that?
Would you
go after Kyle Dake first, though? Is the question.
I would have went after David Taylor. I don't know if
well, then who offered Kyle Dake a job? Iowa?
Kyle Dake said it was a major program.
A major? Well, there's only a handful.
Yeah.
Who was it, Terry? Was it Iowa?
No, it wasn't Iowa. It might have been Oklahoma State.
It had to be Oklahoma State. Did we just confirm David Taylor is like the backup plan?
Terry,
unbelievable.
I know.
Wow, we break news.
The thing is, Terry, another interesting bit, and this interview is years old. This is back when Kemmer was in the middle of, it was that team. But Iowa has their Bonnie. They have a Bonnie. And
they do.
And he talked about this lady. You don't know her name by the way, do you, Terry?
I didn't know we had a Bonnie.
Yes, there's a Bonnie. Now, her name isn't Bonnie, but everything that Tom explained was exactly what Penn State's Bonnie is. She comes straight forward. She'll tell you the truth, and she won't beat around the bush. And, he praised her up, and I thought, wow, there's a trend that maybe old Kale set. A psychologist. What is Bonnie? Something like a psychologist or something. Either way, how important is a wrestler's head, and to have the right people around keeping them heads straight seems like a pretty good idea to me. But
I wasn't even aware that we had one. See, that's actually good news. It shows Tom's thinking into the future here. So
let's get some inside info on that, Terry.
Yeah,
that psychologist.
Any thoughts
Let's
on
get
this?
Her on the show.
Barry Davis going to the Navy. Were you surprised there?
Yes and no. I posted that over on the BEG page, and I said, two hardcore coaches there was Kerry Colat and Barry Davis. That's old school there.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Absolutely.
So maybe the Navy kids are in good hands, I would think.
Well, Terry, I want to thank you for all that you do on that BEG Facebook page. By the way, folks, if you're not members, you want to be members, because between Terry and Kevin, and I can name a whole slew of others, there's just top-notch interesting stuff, including old Kevin's little fact of the day. Tell me that's not been interesting.
Yep.
Have you been following that, Terry?
Absolutely. I would say, to tag on to Kevin, not just the best wrestling forum, the best forum I've been on.
Wow.
No toxicity. It is just a pleasant place. People with good sense of humor, good knowledge. It just shows you when you set the example that people follow the example, and it's just a positive place over there.
Yeah.
Great place. I was like one of the first 5 members, I think, over there. So.
Well,
you've been originals. We appreciate that, Terry.
You've been enormous to BEG, and we look forward to having you on regularly. Now, I don't know.
He brought it. He brought some heat today.
I'm telling you, I don't mind holding my phone up. But I don't know if you got a relative or something.
Let's start a BEG fund to get Terry a smartphone.
Let's get get Terry a smartphone.
Get this man a smartphone. He come on here breaking
I'll
news.
have to look into investing there, so you don't have to. And by the way, I don't know if you cropped the picture, but I'm sure Hector Camacho looks about as thrilled with me wearing an Iowa hoodie as Wayne would there, sitting there.
Oh, right back here.
I got it.
Yeah, it's right behind us.
That's Hector Camacho, the fighter. So.
Terry's a boxing fan too, and in fact,
big boxing fan.
wow, I'm seeing the picture right now. Daggone, Terry.
I do have some recruiting news from Iowa.
Okay. Go ahead.
This past weekend, there was a visit. Jarrell and Ty Miller from St. Edwards in Ohio visited Iowa. Now, they're two kids, two of the few left in the 2025 class that haven't committed yet. And Jarrell's 197. I think Willie has him third at 190 for high school.
Yep.
And Ty is a 184. They're twins. And I think Willie has him 10th at 175. And the recruiting has been rough. I mean, we only had Leo DeLuca in 2025, who I really like, by the way. I really like that kid. But 2025 was pretty lean. So
Terry, have you noticed that Kevin struggles with the name Leo DeLuca, sort of like Zach struggles with the name Amit Elor?
Absolutely.
Zach's saying I
call her Missy Lore.
Terry, did you watch that Friday broadcast after Amit corrects him?
I commented under a different name. My favorite part was when Jamie came in to save the day, and then she mispronounced it in a different way. Ouch. Oh,
what the world's going on in my family?
It is definitely a genetic thing. I even commented on the page. I said, there's no need for a DNA test on any of these.
Well, Zach was so adamant, too. He finally had this right, and he's going to show it's not Amit.
Look at you thinking about it. Yeah, dude, I bet you say
I meet. It's I meet, he says. He says it like 3 or 4 times. It's I meet. And I'm looking at put that picture of that baby's face up there right now, Zach, because that's what I was doing right there. By the way, that picture is by Sways.
Sways just posted an interview he did with Brian Smith, coincidentally up on our Facebook page. But yeah, Sways out there interviewing people.
He must be a talented photographer too. But Terry, that's awesome, man. Look.
Terry, thank you.
I want to talk to you regularly, and if I have to hold the phone up, that's what I'll do. But let's do this again.
All right, sounds good, Wayne. I actually enjoyed it, and hopefully the audio comes in nice and clean, better than maybe Clash of Combats did from the interview that Zach posted the other day.
Terry.
It's crazy. Zach's the new guy, and his audio was perfect, and Clash of Combats was like they're talking on a home phone.
Oh, yes. Well, the daggone producer. It's the daggone...
Terry, we're going through growing pains over here.
Daggone. But, wow. And by the way, Terry, if you had it your way, 197's coming up. Who do you want running out there?
AJ.
That's what I'm talking about, Terry.
See, I don't think there's that much of a difference. Glazier and Ratchie sort of are kind of the same to me. Like these guys are coming. You can see them coming, and go ahead.
Glazier was superb in the regular season. Got on his offense early. Good work rate, racked up points. But then when he got to the Nationals, you can see people had studied him because he kept the legs back because he likes going for singles.
Yes.
He kept the legs back. And the first guy that knocked him off tried to make it a one takedown match, and he got that one takedown.
Yep.
The second guy was a little bit more active, but I believe he was 1 and 2 in the Nationals also. I don't think there's any world where AJ is 1 and 2 in the Nationals. And I think the cream does rise to the top, and there's a difference between duels and in nationals. And
Yeah. Terry, this is awesome, and we'll be talking to you again.
well, I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right.
All right, thanks, Terry.
Later.
Yeah, take care.
All right, how about that, folks? I don't know. Is that breaking news? Are we now breaking news? AJ at about close to 0%.
Yeah.
Anthony close to 0% to wrestle at Iowa.
Well, now we'll term this is Terry's
Some recruits
opinion.
visiting.
But this is stuff he's reading. The thing that Terry has, he's learned off of Hawkeye Report who's credible and who's not. And, so when he comes with the latest buzz, it's coming from a more credible source. And that's what Terry has. So none of us really know what's going on for certain. I just know one thing. It just seems like everyone has already written off the possibility of Anthony or AJ being in that lineup.
That is just breaking and apparently not academic related. We don't know when we're going to find out. Also, I guess, what's his name? Bob Nichols came on a forum and confirmed, I guess, or dispersed any rumors of Iowa recruiting David Taylor, which then ultimately led us down the path of connecting the dots of Kyle Dake was confirmed he made an offer, and apparently David Taylor was second fiddle, second choice.
He said it was a major program. So
David, let me tell you something. This is a true story. Me and Kelly, the night of our first date, I was second choice, dude.
Wow.
She only went out with me because her first dude canceled on her.
You're like David Taylor.
I'm dead serious.
You're like David Taylor.
We're the same, David Taylor. We're the same, dude. Hey.
Wow.
Hey. That's why I got a chip on my shoulder, dude. What?
I wonder about other guys running around kind of saying, I could have, yeah, she could have been my girl, but, I wasn't in the mood.
I don't know, but ask Kelly, dude. She'll confirm that. But I don't know, man. We're going a little updates on the show. You got any other big topics before we bounce to that and kind of wrap this up?
No, yeah. I'm looking forward to this Beat the Streets coming up, where we're going to see Alirez against Mendez. Tell me that's not fun. Thank you, Beat the Streets. They put a card together.
You have a date of that.
Anybody that puts the card, no, I don't.
I'll post it. I'll find out.
That's going to be very, very fun. I hope you continue to work on Jason Bryant. Absolutely would love to see an interview there.
What? I did an interview. It's like almost an hour long. It's waiting there to edit. It's coming out sometime this week, folks.
Whoa. Okay.
Almost an hour.
Wow. Okay. I'm
With
looking
Jason
forward
Bryant.
to that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. All these interviews, they're very good. But really, other than that, no.
Other than that, I know, because Terry just made the show, dude. I know. I just figured out what the thumbnail of this episode is. Inside Iowa or something. I don't know. But
we're going to have him on again.
Along with that, we're going to continue to tweak the Friday show, folks, which will include a new hard Kevin and Jamie start time, 6 p.m. It's going to be posted ahead of time, so everyone is aware it's coming. I'm also going to be starting a weekly... I haven't figured it out exactly. I'll figure it out by this week, but it's some type of weekly prize where at some point throughout the episode, I'm going to say a promo word, and anyone who types it in the chat will be eligible. Maybe we draw it out of the hat. I don't know.
Well, you once said to me, Dad, when we want to show all sides of each of us, sometimes we're not in our best mood. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes I'm in a goofy mood, and then sometimes I'm not. And I got reading up, trying to learn a little bit about this NIL right before coming down here, and it kind of depressed me a little bit. So I wasn't in my little bubbly good mood today.
All right.
But I look forward to the future. And
that we have a website, BEG Wrestling is owned, and we're working on that.
Here's the big news.
Rankings.
And bam, that's
Kevin's
it.
rankings.
And I really look forward to Kevin's rankings. I know this guy. Can we just call him OCD Kevin? Do you mind? Kevin, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, buddy.
He runs a tight ship over there.
I
Yes, he
tell you,
does.
he's like in his little Dutch. He's like Dr. Frankenstein down there in his basement. He's got the stats. He's got they're pinned up all over the place. The dude is into wrestling. He studies wrestling.
He's a stat man or fact man.
He's perfect. He's perfect for the rankings. We got to promote that big time. As soon as you see him, I'm here to tell you, you're going to like his rankings. You know, that was a lot of praise that Willie used to get. Willie, or gets currently, Willie's one of the best rankers out there. Willie is. Well, Willie's got some competition coming because I feel very confident I'm going to like Kevin's rankings. Or should I say BEG's rankings?
Well, yeah, we're going to be reviewing and approving, giving our input.
That's right.
So
That's right. Well, you got Penn State guy here is number 3. What? No, Kev. No.
There.
No. 1 or 2. Make a choice, not 3.
Well, maybe I'll be reviewing.
Okay.
But,
all right.
That's all I got. I've done a lot of talking, dude. People are probably sick of hearing me talk. So nice having Terry come on and hearing some of yours. So
okay,
folks. Until next week, this is BJ. Hey, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Subscribe. Until next week. See ya.
See ya.